courage, commitment, desire. This is the Blitz, baby!
I'm Travis Downey, and this is Will Parchman, and we're bringing you Week 5 of the Northwest Florida Daily News' Prep Football Blitz, where each week we get you guys set for Friday night. And like we do, before we look ahead to the games on this week's slate, looking back last week, what stood out to you when you look back at last week's games?
For me, I was at Niceville. I was able to see that Niceville Godby game. They knew it was going to be a battle. Probably didn't know how much of a battle it was going to be. Right. But for me, what stood out is the fact that Niceville, by John Hick's own admission, did not play a very good game. Right. One of the worst games that they played in the last few years, but they still found a way to win. I think that's kind of the hallmark of a good team, a championship caliber team. You're not going to have your A game every week, right? But you still got to pull out those wins.
Did it without Roy Finch too.
Absolutely.
That's pretty impressive. I was most impressed. You talk about not having your best game, but eking out a win. South Walton closes that 4-game stretch to open the year of 4 straight road games. They close it at Baker and get another win, move to 3-0 in district play. Really impressed with South Walton for grinding one out there on the road.
Right, absolutely. Talk about maybe grinding one out here. Moving on to game 1 of our preview, we got Rocky Bayou. 5th straight home game hosting Monroe Day to start the season. Neither of these teams has had the start that they've wanted, both 0-4.
Right, and for Rocky Bayou, you think each week is another chance for them to get that first elusive win against a school that on paper doesn't look like it would be a whole lot of competition. Monroe Day equally struggling this season. I'm still going to go with Monroe Day, and I hate to pick against the local guys when they're down, but I'm going to go with Monroe Day.
It kind of comes down to which team has gotten blown out less in their last few games. Unfortunately, Rocky Bayou had that 71-2 game last week. I do think they're going to be back into shape a little bit this week. I don't think you'll see that game. These teams are pretty evenly matched. Right. But I am going Monroe Day on the road as well. Moving on back into that District 1A, Baker at Northview. This Northview team is really tough in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Baker is too. I think that's one thing I was really impressed with Baker from a week ago against South Walton, a team that has a little bit of size advantage on them. Baker was right there, and they ran right at South Walton's defense and really had South Walton where they wanted going into half. Having said that, I'm going to go with Northview. With this game being at Northview, I'm going to take the home team. I think Baker's right there on the brink of finally turning this around. But right now, I'm going to go with Northview.
Yeah, Bob Kellogg's got to be wondering what they've got to do to get a win here. Yeah. A couple close shaves, but I do like Northview. They're just so powerful. They've got a great running game. Don't run a whole lot of plays, but they'll beat you up. So I'm going to take
a physical game.
Definitely, I'm going to take Northview in that game. Moving on, we got Freeport at Vernon. Maybe flip the script a little bit. 2 teams that have a very, very real chance of taking 1A.
Yeah, I think Freeport, you speak with Jim Anderson each week, and each week it's the same story. This team's a lot better than Freeport. And maybe that's the case on paper, but between the white lines, Freeport's shown this year that they have a lot of resiliency in that football team, in that locker room. I'm going to go with Freeport to win on the road. I've liked them entering the season. I'm not going to turn on just yet. I like Freeport to get this win.
Yeah, Jim's going to let you know just how thin they are at times. I do like Freeport, though, definitely to take that game on the road there. And then we've got Holmes County at South Walton. Seems to be setting up for maybe a trap game for South Walton.
Yeah, you would think. They've just managed this 4-game stretch away from home. Now they get their first home game of the season. First time as district defending champs. They get a team in Holmes County that just last week won its first game of the season. So yeah, everything's there for this to be a typical trap game. I'm still going to go with South Walton. I think this team is going to take advantage of this 4-0 start that they've had this season. They realize, hey, we're 3-0 in district, and we've only got one more road district game left, I believe, if I looked at the schedule correctly. So sets up magnificently for South Walton. I think they get this win.
Absolutely. We've been picking with them all year pretty much, and they haven't disappointed just, with so much balance, especially that run game with Chris Schock stepping up there as well. Definitely taking South Walton there. And then we've got Walton going on the road, taking on FAMU in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and Walton's been a tough team to get a read on at times this year. They lose an overtime game to Mariana last week, 37-30. I like Walton. I think Walton will go on the road. FAMU is a lower classified school, but not by a whole lot. And it's still a good football team. I still think Walton has enough to get it done. They'll win on the road.
Yeah, I think that loss might have set them back a little bit in terms of Walton losing in overtime, but I do like them going on the road. FAMU's had a few disappointing results this year, and when it boils down to it, Walton just is really big and strong,
Right.
where it counts. Then you've got Pensacola at Choctaw. Choctaw coming off that big win over Rutherford, and Pensacola coming in. How do you kind of see this one going?
Pensacola, I think, will win this game. I think Choctaw had a really nice win last week. It looks good in getting that first home win. But looking at Pensacola, it's a team that just narrowly lost to Pine Forest, which is one of the better schools in the area. I like Pensacola to come in here into Choctaw and get a win, although it may be a little bit harder to do than we thought maybe a few weeks ago when Choctaw was winless.
Yeah, I do like Pensacola in this game. That 6-3 loss to Pine Forest. You hold Pine Forest team to 6 points. You're doing something right. I do like Pensacola to come in here, despite the fact that Choctaw did get that nice win last week. Then we've got Crestview at Navarre. Maybe one of the more lopsided games of the week.
I think it could be. Crestview until last week looked pretty strong on the line. Of course, Pensacola Catholic kind of put them in their place a little bit. I still think Crestview's a better football team right now than Navarre. The interesting thing is going to be seeing Chris Pickett and Michael Pettis, two of the area's better athletes, kind of go tick for tack on Friday night. I still think Crestview goes to Navarre and gets a win.
Yeah, I think the intriguing thing here is going to be how does Crestview rebound from that Catholic game. They're going on the road, which is, regardless of who you're playing, that's not easy. So that is going to be big. I do think that they're going to be able to get the win over Navarre. Navarre's reeling a little bit right now, still trying to find an identity offensively. Then you've got Fort Walton Beach at Milton. A big game for Fort Walton Beach. Danny Warfel's records may come tumbling down.
Well, we've been saying the last 2 weeks. We thought the past 2 weeks that would happen. This will be the week. I think it's pretty safe. He needs one to break it. Surely he can have one touchdown pass. I think Fort Walton Beach will go on the road and get a win at Milton. Milton's a good team, a good football team, and it's a good way to kind of that last hurdle before they jump into district play the following week with Crestview. But I think Fort Walton Beach, they'll go on the road and get this win.
As is usually the case, I think the Vikings offense is going to dictate how this game goes. If Barnes is able to sling it around a little bit, I think that they'll be able to roll a little bit, despite the fact that these are really evenly matched teams.
Milton's 3-0, but they've played Gulf Breeze, Freeport, and Escambia. None of those teams have the offense they'll see Friday night.
Absolutely. And then Niceville at Pace, finally.
Big game.
Huge game for Niceville, coming off that Godby game. Pace had a few disappointing results this year, but they are still a very, very tough team.
Interesting to see how Pace and Niceville match up in the trenches. Pace is a very physical football team. We saw that a few weeks ago when they lost to Fort Walton Beach in overtime. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. I like Niceville.
Yeah, definitely. I'd take Niceville on the road here. I like what they were able to do last week. Finch is probably coming back this week. I think that's going to be a huge shot in the arm for that Niceville team. When he's in there, they're almost unbeatable in this area. I do definitely like Niceville to take that game as well. That will do it for the Blitz this week. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you again next time.